Countdown to kickoff continues. The Jaguars and the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. It's week 11. Two teams going in the opposite directions. Dannie Rogers is the team reporter for the Detroit Lions. Great to see you, Danny. Here we are in week 11.
You too, JP. You made me giggle with two teams going in opposite directions right now.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. I mean, the Lions are right there at the top in the NFC, certainly in that division. The Jaguars are not. They are 2-8, and it's a struggle to get anything going positive right now. But let's hear about this Lions team and why have they been able to sustain the success of last year? What is this here to stay for a while for Detroit?
They have sustained it in many different ways this season. That's really been the biggest difference maker this season. Last year, sometimes it was offense clicking, defense not doing so well, special teams not doing so well. This year, you've seen all three units pretty consistently show up, whether it's with takeaways on defense, special teams, punt return for touchdowns, or Jack Fox just kicking 70-yard punts off his leg, or the offense just humming at a very high level, one of the top units in the NFL right now. However, you wouldn't have seen all of that come together last week, Sunday Night Football against the Texans. It was an anomaly. 5 INTs for Jared Goff. That's his career high for a single game. I know he prays he never sees a 5 in front of INTs next to his name in the future. But the fact that offense was finally able to put it together in the fourth quarter, but defense kept showing up the entire game, got takeaways when they needed to. And then eventually the run game got going and Jared Goff didn't blink. He made things happen down the stretch when this team absolutely needed it.
And he's a guy that obviously recreated himself after the trade, and I think they kind of had to break him down again and build him back up. So you're seeing the fruits of that now. What is it about Jared Goff's personality that has allowed that? And having all these weapons certainly helps, and distributing it all over the field, deep down the field, running game. But give us more about Jared Goff and his rebuild here in Detroit.
His demeanor is always the same week to week. You can't tell if he just came off a 5 interception performance or if he just, won a playoff game. It's always very even keeled. He's always so poised. One thing I pointed out Sunday was this was by, I don't know, interception number 3. He was still throwing darts downfield into multi-person coverage. Like if Jamo was open, he was still throwing it downfield. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he makes the toughest catches in the NFL right now. Goff was still slinging the ball downfield. So the fact that he is so unflappable and so poised in any situation makes all the world of difference. And he told us this week, he's like, look, I've been at very low points in my career. And he's namely talking about, the transition from LA to Detroit. He's like, nothing's really going to rattle me. He's like, even the 5 INTs. He's like, I'm good. So the fact that he can just wash that away, granted, not all of those INTs were true picks. You have a Hail Mary to end the first half. Like no one really cares about that one. And then maybe one other INT was like a true pick. So he's very unflappable, very even keeled. And he settles everyone down in the huddle every week. And that's why you saw the comeback last Sunday.
Dannie Rogers, Lions reporter with us. Offensive line helps when you have a deep group there also. We always know what the Lions can do down around the goal line with the weird formations and things like that. But it seems like they have a solidified front. Give us the personality of that group in the trenches.
Oh, gosh. I think they're the most sarcastic group of humans in the entire universe. They have great senses of humor. It's all very dry sense of humor. So, like, they're going to make a joke or, like, a little dig at you, and they're not going to laugh after they say it. They're stone cold offensive linemen. And that goes to show, I mean, Lions are top 5 in red zone efficiency, and that has almost everything to do with the offensive line. But they didn't have their left tackle, Taylor Decker, last weekend. That's why you saw a little bit more pressure on Jared Goff throughout the game. And maybe that has a little bit more to do with why he did look uncomfortable at times. But you talk about the depth. Dan Skipper was able to come in. Ben Johnson said earlier today, it was a little bit of an up and down game for Dan Skipper. But to be honest, he met their expectations. He knew exactly They knew exactly what they were going to get Skipper in that lineup. So offensive line, they are hilarious. And to be honest, I think they're my favorite group on this Lions team, and they know
that. And they're on billboards all over town too. I mean,
yes,
they
as
put
they
them
should
everywhere.
be.
They put them everywhere. Dannie Rogers with us. All right, how has life been without Aiden Hutchinson? And have we seen what they have? I mean, I think we're about to see down the stretch what they have in mind to fill that spot.
Yeah, it's Zadarius Smith. That's, to be honest, they needed a Zadarius Smith coming into the season, and really the Aiden Hutchinson injury forced their hand where they had to go out and get a really effective pass rusher. And they one-upped it. They're like, let's get a veteran pass rusher too, and Zadarius Smith, coming over from Cleveland. And all of his experience in the NFC North, like that's chef's kiss. All of his Pro Bowl seasons came when he played for Minnesota and Green Bay. So that's already a great omen. But when Hutch went down in Dallas, you win that game. You absolutely crushed the Cowboys, and everyone woke up the next day and were like, we're really not sure how to feel, because it was a great win. Coach's first over his former team in Dallas. And you're like, okay, we just lost like the heart and soul of this defense. Luckily, I mean, the defense has bent. They've bended in games, but they haven't been broken down yet. And that's been so key. Josh Paschal, you'll hear his name a lot this week. He played really good against the Houston Texans. He did his job. Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader within the interior, they've stepped their game up. Aleem McNeil is having one heck of a year, especially getting quarterbacks in pressures. Not so much sacks, but pressures for sure. And then you're going to see Zadarius Smith come off the edge today, or this Sunday, against the Jags. That's his debut. We have not seen it yet. Apparently, they're trying to put just enough on his plate to where he can affect the pass rusher and affect the run D, but not overwhelm him. So I am so excited to see how he really steps up and fills the void of Hutch.
You got ball hawks on the back end as well. I mean, Kirby Joseph leads the league in picks. Brian Branch is all over the field, literally all over the field. Yep. Take us through Kirby Joseph. Like, what is the deal? Why has he been so good with the football in his hand all of a sudden?
I asked his safeties coach this last week, Jim O'Neill, former defensive coordinator in the NFL. And he's like, the reason why he's different is Kirby asks why every single day. He's very intuitive. He wants to know what the reasoning behind the things that they're doing, so he can better understand it. So that's been the biggest difference. And I'm actually going to talk to him this week. I'm like, I really want to know where this third year jump came from, because it's kind of mirroring his college career at Illinois. That last year, really that third or fourth year with Illinois, they went to a different defensive scheme. He picked off 5 interceptions that season. He hadn't had a single interception his entire college career before that season. Granted, he's had let me do the math real quick. What is it? 4, 8 plus another 6, 14 INTs through his first 3 years. Something is in the water. Like, this man is eating his Wheaties before every game, and he is crushing it. He understands his assignment incredibly well. And it really helps that he has his counterpart in Brian Branch, who is distracting defenses up closer to the box and putting pressure on quarterbacks. So they don't really see Kirby flying around on the back half of the field, picking off QBs like it is his job, because, I guess it is his job.
Danny, Lions are 8-1, of course. You know that. You're sitting right there in Detroit. Best start since 1954, well before either one of us were around. But when you start dropping names like Bobby Lane and Doak Walker, I mean, that tells you the historical significance of what could happen if they go back-to-back in the division again. That hasn't happened since 54 either, when they won 3 in a row. I mean, this is a city that has won championships before in every other sport.
In every other sport.
And they have not won a Lombardi Trophy. They've won some NFL championships in the 50s. So what would this mean to this area, to the city of Detroit, if they are to go to New Orleans and get the job done?
Yeah, I mean, head coach Dan Campbell said it best this week during a radio interview. The reason why they didn't play Zadarius Smith against Houston is because he said Detroit has 11 more games. And if you do the math on that, that is a first-round bye in the playoffs, and that has you in the Super Bowl. Those are the expectations. I'm from Detroit. I learned the game of football watching Barry Sanders and Kelvin Johnson every Sunday with my dad. Like, I've already thought about how I'll feel if we get to, granted, we were one game away. We were one half away last season, and that was emotional for everyone. So the expectations didn't change coming into this year. But the city needs it. It would mean a lot. Really, I think everyone my age were like, we'd love for our dads to see the Lions win a Super Bowl. That's the main goal. When you're planning for a Super Bowl as a team in a conference championship, you're having those Zoom calls with your entire staff I don't know, before the championship game, to talk logistics. So we had to talk about going to the Super Bowl last year before we played San Fran, and then we had our hearts ripped out. So to be that close and feel what that it feels like to almost be there, it's a little soul crushing, but very motivating. And I think Detroit would just die over a Super Bowl championship team, and no one is better to lead a group than Dan Campbell into a very historical season.
Well, the Jags were in that ballpark before 2017, a half
Mm-hmm.
away in the AFC Championship. Didn't do it. Haven't been back to the championship round since. Danny, I'll say good luck after this week. How about
Yeah,
that?
no, good luck to you, JP.
Appreciate the time. Have a good one.
You too.